Welcome to another edition of the ITMOD Cast podcast. Today I am joined by wife dork herself, Lisa Gullickson. And back in the dork cave is the indie dork himself, Billy Das. How you doing?
I have no air horn sound effect.
No effect whatsoever. App fail, I say. I don't need one because I'm your host, Mouth Dork, filling in for the Disco Dork yet again with the CHATcast. But we've got a great episode, a great conversation ahead of you. We are speaking to writer-director Issa Lopez of Tigers Are Not Afraid. She has been hopping around the globe with this movie, hitting all the genre festivals that she can. And keep an eye on your circuit to see when you can see this film yourself. Anyway, without further ado, take it away, Issa Lopez.
All right. So welcome along to the podcast. I'm very excited that we have Issa Lopez, the director, writer of Tigers Are Not Afraid, along with us to chat today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here and talk about that movie that keeps, evolving, and even some movies, even after they're completely done and locked, and by the simple fact that they're shown to different audiences in different countries, they acquire new meaning in a way, and that's been part of the adventure, and I'm so thankful for that. So super happy to talk about it.
Well, so that, I guess, it really kind of has been an adventure. I mean, I feel like you just came back from a trip abroad. You were in Bilbao, Spain. Were you showing the movie there, or were you just there on business or pleasure?
No, I was showing the movie. I took it to Brussels. This last leap was Brussels, where they have the Brussels International Fantastic Fest, BIF. And the movie played beautifully there. It got both the Audience Award, and that's kind of a big deal because it's a festival with that show over 100 movies, and audiences loved it. So they gave us the Audience Award, and they gave us the Silver Raven, which is the second place for the jury award. So we did very, very well there. And then I took it to Amsterdam to the name of the festival in Amsterdam is Imagine Film Festival, and it's again genre movies, and it's a completely different audience. Completely, it's the Dutch versus the Belgians, and a completely different venue because the Brussels one was a 1920s Art Nouveau building, a beautiful building, the Beaux-Arts, the Palace, and in Amsterdam it was this ultra-modern Cinematheque museum, and then there's the I believe the national character between the Belgian and the Dutch, and they're very different. But they also love the movie, and the movie got jury award there. And then I just showed it in Bilbao in Spain as part of the Bilbao Fantastic Film Festival, and it played beautifully too. The festival is still going, but the Spanish reacted gorgeously. Oh, I took it also to Belfast to show it in the Belfast Film Festival. So it's been with me, and it also plays in Vienna. So it's been, the chance, and for me, it's an absolute delight of such different cultures experiencing the movie and reacting very powerfully to it. Because I think that there is that emotional level of the movie that sets it apart from other genre movies, and it's this combination of fantasy and horror that fans around the world love, and that's why they go to these festivals. But then it has this touching element, and that's very surprising for audiences. They don't see it coming, and the reaction is very beautiful and very powerful. I'm super happy.
Well, Brad and I had an opportunity to see it at Fantastic Fest in Austin, and we absolutely fell in love with the film. But I understand that when you first finished this movie and you were starting to submit it to film festivals, that you initially faced a lot of rejection, and you had the opportunity to, like, how has this kind of emotional roller coaster affected how you see this film that you've made, from going from I've made something intensely personal, I love it, I'm ready to share it, oh no, these festivals are not accepting it, to now with Fantastic Fest, you're getting all of this amazing traction and accolades that are well-deserved?
You made the best description of what it was. I won't do better than you. It was, first of all, you make, as you said, something that is, very delicate in the sense that it's really, really close to your spirit and who you are. And it's a sort of getting naked in front of the world, and that's not a thing that I do at all. Maybe the getting naked, yes, but not the getting naked in the soul, because we protect ourselves. We become, especially when you have a tough childhood, and I don't believe that a lot of fans of horror or fantasy, in many cases, not in all cases, but I think it's sort of a common experience that we had tough childhoods, and we became so obsessed with fantasy and with science fiction and with horror because it was so distant from our own experiences. So when we go through that, you become very protective of your true self because you know that it can just hurt. It happened when we were kids, and you become an adult, and you are successful or not to a degree, but you keep that part of you here. And in this movie, I just went out and said, okay, here it is. I am this little girl who lost her mother and has been fighting to belong and to survive and to learn that she's a warrior and she's going to be fine. It's my own story to that level. And you try to do it through a metaphor and through visual poetry and through an adventure and a thriller too. And it's all these things that you love and you care for. And it's not that my movie is a unique experience in this, in doing this. I think many movies do this. And but for me, it was the first time that I went here. And I started sending it out, me and my team, to all the 80 festivals, Sundance and Venice and Toronto and Cannes and name it, all of those. And we got rejected from each one of them. It was crazy. And then even, not the huge ones, but still, big, important, highly respected festivals like Tribeca, like South by Southwest. It was an entire year of no. And the way you read no is no, comma, your movie is not good enough for us. And when you're doing that with a part of you that is so intimate, and you did it with such care because it was a very careful, crafted movie that, we really took our time with it. We really edited for a year. We worked on the music to make it into something that me and the entire team believed was something delicate and beautiful. And we hoped people would connect with it, and we got rejection after rejection after rejection. It makes you doubt your own talent. It makes you doubt the value of your experiences and, your life, basically, because I define myself as a filmmaker, first and foremost. And what being a filmmaker is about is making movies. And I made these movies which, at that point, captured everything I believed about cinema and what I had to say in cinema. And it was rejected so many times. So it was devastating. The word is devastating. And I had to make peace with it at some point that, okay, so probably the movie is not good enough, which means that I am not good enough as a filmmaker. And the first reaction after that was, there was like 3 minutes that I said, I'm done. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to go to nursery school, and I'm going to become a nurse, because being a nurse actually helps people, have some meaning in the world. That was 3 minutes of my life. And then minute 4, I started making, creating stories in my head, because a really strange woman in a really strange car went in front of me while I was moping. And I was like, oh my God, that's a character. And her story probably, and I go like, you know what? You can help yourself. This is you. And maybe you're not as good as you would like to. I don't think any of us is as good as we would like to be. We try. We keep on trying. But you can't stop. So do it as best you can. And that's it. And I kept at it, but, with a complete reset of expectations. And then Fantastic Fest, which I had this moment of, hey, why not? What about genre festival, And I sent it to Fantastic Fest, and it immediately got picked up, even though it got into the late submissions. And the movie, being the little underdog that nobody knew anything about, and was accepted last in the festival, and was playing at 3 p.m., got all this attention, and it started growing and growing and getting the buzz and all the reactions from the audience, and then the reviews, and then the rest is history. And now, what is it, 6 months later, with 27 awards, and the beautiful reviews, and what I can say is, it does feel like a movie. It does feel like the very traditional boring structure of a movie, when there is an all is lost in the adventure, and then suddenly everything changes because there's a turning point, and the little hero, learns that she's actually a warrior, So everything that's been happening in that past has been so life affirming. And kind of proving to me the point that there is, a higher poetry hidden in our everyday life. It sounds so cheesy, but I just said. But that's how I feel right now. I feel that if you persevere, if you don't give up, if you keep trying to find for another path, for another way, for another angle, because you believe in what you have to say, it will happen.
But that's what's so beautiful about movies, right? It gives us, it's like you said, right? You put your thoughts and your passions nakedly out to people so that they can experience something that you want them to experience. And that's right. That's what they were talking about Cannes just recently, is that's the beauty of movies, the cinematic experience. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's been really, it does give you the absolute certainty, and that is precious, of knowing that if you get exhausted of the no's and the trying and the we'll love your project, people are looking for something else, and all of that you go through when you're trying to make movies, and you go, and then suddenly you get back to the point where you go, you know what, I am not going to be able to make any of these movies trying to please these people and what they want in a movie, and it's not what I want. I am going to go off completely and make a movie that I want to make because I want to make it, because I believe in it, and more importantly, because I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And then you do it. And it will, and even then it's not going to be easy, because it is a quirky, strange creature, what I created. It's hard to pin that movie in one category. It's not an art house, but it is. It is not a horror, but it is. It is not a social drama, but it is. So, of course, it was not going to be a slam dunk to find its home. But the beauty of it is, I think, its home is, this is, again, going to sound so cheesy, so be prepared. Its home is the hearts of audiences around the world that are willing to sit down and watch something that is not quite any of those things, but a little bit of all. That's its home. And they responded. They opened their hearts to it, and that's their home. That is home, and it's found it.
I'm taken aback when you call it a genre film because I do watch a lot of genre film, but I think that the fantasy elements of the story are really what makes it real to those of us who haven't experienced that kind of drama, and trauma of these orphans in Juarez. Like, we haven't experienced that, but that idea that they would have to take that escape so far is what makes the movie feel so real, emotionally real to the audience.
Yes, I think also that incredible and amazing movies have been made going straight and only with the social drama side of it. You know, not specifically about the orphans in the Mexican drug war. Although there is one movie, it's not about the orphans of the violence, but it's about children, well, very young adolescents in their 13 and 14, trying to cross from Guatemala through Mexico and into the U.S. It's called The Golden Cage, and it's beautiful, and it's devastating, but it's not magical, and it is not a ghost story, and it is not about the kingdoms and that the children create in their minds. So, because those movies have been made and have been made masterfully, I didn't see the point of trying to do that. Because, by the way, it's not what I do. It's not who I am. I can absolutely perceive and value the need to touch this subject and talk about these children in a manner that is structured in the way of a storyteller, you know, in the archetypical once upon a time way. But I couldn't help taking it with my own passion for the unreal and the surreal and the magical and the things that are not encompassed by reason and the things that we can explain and categorize. I think that it was an incredible chance to portray reality, but in a wider way, capturing more than what it is there.
So what I'm interested in, though, is you have this idea, and to execute it, you need to have the best children actors on the planet. And, you know, the cliche is, you know, never to work with kids or animals, but your entire film lives or dies on their performances. I mean, what was your anxiety around casting this picture?
It was huge. I was paralyzed with fear, to tell you the truth. It is funny how you fight and fight and fight and fight to get something, and then when you get it, it's one of the scariest things. And it is one of the things in the movie, if you think about it, Estrella making wishes, that when they come true, are these incredibly scary things, you know, that she needs to solve. So that happened to me in a way that I fought and fought and fought to have my wish. And my wish, and literally it was a wish, you know, I was making that wish when I was throwing coins in fountains. I was making that wish when I was blowing candles. It was a wish to please let this movie be made. And then finally, when the moment comes and they tell, okay, here's, you know, you're good to go, here's your green light, you're going to make your movie, you go, yes, and the next second you go, shit, because now Now you have to actually make it. And, a good script is a beautiful movie. It could be an incredible movie. It could be the best movie ever made, as long as it's not made. Because when it's made, it's that movie. Whatever the movie is, it's that. It's been limited to the reality of that. While it hasn't been made, you're still the possible filmmaker of a masterpiece, But now you have to actually go and make it, and you might absolutely fuck it up and ruin it, and that's so scary because it is not an easy movie at all. There's no easy movies, by the way, but there are some that are crazy difficult, and this is one of them because it's based on what is it, like 90% of the movie is sits on top of the shoulders of 5 children, and they're Mexican, and I'm not embarrassed because this is a fact, and anybody that works in the business in Mexico will tell you this is a true story. We are a country that shine because it has incredible actors that I'm always aspiring to get the rest of the world to know them because they're incredible, with incredible faces and incredible voices and just, these entire lives you can see in their eyes. But I don't know where they come from because the children in Mexico can't act. Sorry?
No, keep going.
No. And there's a reason. Don't get mad at me. There's science behind it. And this is it. As children in Mexico, in a vast majority, grow up watching Mexican TV. And Mexican TV or international TV, but dubbed in Spanish. So Mexican TV is, I'm not worried at all to say appallingly bad, horrible, and because a lot of it is soap operas, what we call telenovelas, and everybody knows telenovelas, right? Telenovelas, the acting style is Jonathan Armando, yo soy tu madre, and this is what kids absorb when they grow up. That's acting for them, and it takes a little growing up and a little judgment to go back and say, oh, that was shitty. I'm not going to do that. And then we have actors. But when they're kids, that's what they see. And when it's international TV, but it's dubbed, when I was a kid, we had amazing actors that were doing the dubbing. Right now, it's not the same level, the same standard, I have to say. So in their minds, acting is a very different, very old thing. And I had to find 5 children that were either not contaminated by bad acting, or could fight that contamination. And what I did is 2 things. I demanded and worked and pushed to have a very, very wide, very, very large casting process. And by the end of the day, we saw close to 600 children.
Oh my
at
gosh.
50.5. And on one hand. On the other hand, I recruited the help of this magical creature. Her name is Fatima Toledo, and she was casting coach and acting coach on City of God. And the performances of the children in City of God blew me away years ago, and that's the tone that I wanted. So it was hard, it was complicated, it was not cheap, it was completely worth it to bring Fatima Toledo from the casting process hand in hand with me and the casting director, and then doing a little workshop of 10 days, basically to clean them of bad acting and their idea of acting, cleanliness of acting in general, because what we needed was not acting. we needed them to go through these emotions for real. And we did. I'm incredibly pleased with the job they made. They're incredible. And anywhere in the globe, if people speak Spanish, if people don't speak Spanish, they love these kids. They're incredible. I love these kids. They're amazing.
Agreed, 100%. I mean, they're everything. The movie works. All like the emotions that you experience through these performers, as Lisa was saying, are real. You live their life.
I think a great in though is the way the movie is shot. Like it's all very low to the ground. You really feel like you are with those kids or one of those kids. And was this idea about the cameras being there and really inviting the audience into the gang, sort of? Was that something that the kids were aware of as a cast? Like the idea that the audience was an extension?
Well, rather than, I mean, you got it right in the sense that me and the DP we both devised this idea, this visual idea, that the camera, first of all, is, as you said, always very, very low because it has to be at the wrong level all the time. Even in wide shots, the camera is always hiding behind something because that's the other thing. These kids are hiding for most of the movie. They're escaping, and the camera is too. So, and kids, when you look at them, they never stand still. They don't stop moving or fidgeting for a second. The camera is the same. So our intention is to make whomever is watching the movie to become the sixth kid in this gang. And the kids were not told, the camera is going to be the sixth member. But they got so used because of the workshop and because of the rehearsals that I had with them for a week before we got into the set. And we were recording every one of the rehearsals. Even when we were practicing to go into the scene, the camera was there. They got so used to the camera being one of them and running with them that it absolutely worked as the sixth kid in the gang. And that's entire intention, for us to experience their adventure with them as one of them.
Can you speak a little bit to the inspirations on the film? I know you're a big comic book person as well as a cinephile, and I'm just curious where you're drawing from in putting this screenplay together. From
everywhere, and I love going into the many myriad influences that are in the movie. Clearly, there's a lot of Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. There's a lot of Beasts of the Southern Wild. I already had an idea in my head for the movie when I saw Beasts. And I saw Beasts and a part of me was like, oh shit. Because it felt so much like what I wanted to do, Actually, I was thinking of using voiceover. And in the movie, I just used voiceover at the beginning and at the ending. Because Beasts of the Southern Wild has voiceover throughout, to make it not as similar. There's this tiny, beautiful, gorgeous Afghan movie called Turtles Can Fly. And not a lot of people have seen that, but if you have a chance, watch that movie. It's endearing and painful and heartbreaking and funny and beautiful all around. And it's about, a bunch of children, orphans, trying to survive the Afghan war. There's another movie, it's Canadian, it's beautiful, it's called White Witch, about child soldiers in Africa. And they do see good people, too. Again, I saw this after I have thought of the movie, but the ultra-real tone in which it's shot is gorgeous. There's a lot of Fanny and Alexander of Bergman that I saw when I was really young, and this idea that you never get rid of the dead and they're always with you, I loved it, and it's been part of of what I believe and what I write throughout my life. And then the other day I just remembered how central it is to, everything I think, how I see the world, and honestly to a lot of Tigers is Sandman number 50 by Neil Gaiman. Number 50 in particular of Sandman. It's a comic book. It's about it's a fairy. It's done in the style of the 1001 Nights, and it's the story of the Prince of Baghdad, who has the most amazing and incredible city ever created by human imagination, and he has genes, and he has concubines, and he is sad that he's going to die, and the kingdom is going to disappear, and that is going to be forgotten. So he makes a deal with the Lord of Dreams. I'm so sorry, my dog just went off. With the Lord of Dreams to so Baghdad is forever preserved as a dream, as a story, as a fairy tale. And the King of Dreams says, "Are you sure?" And the prince says, "Yes." So the King of Dreams takes Baghdad as is and takes it away and puts it in the Kingdom of Dreams. And the thing is, after that, all that the prince is left with is the real Baghdad that we have now after the war, because we lost the one that lives in dreams. And I feel that Tigers Are Not Afraid has a lot of that. Has a lot of, we had a kingdom and we are left with a broken kingdom and what's left to it, because the real one is in our dreams. And the difference and the contrast between our dreamed kingdom and our real kingdom is huge, and it's what the movie is about.
I was obsessed with Sandman in college. I just got to say that. Neil Gaiman. What was your, so there was all of these fantasy elements and your personal experience that was infused into Tigers Are Not Afraid. What was your research process in terms of accuracy in the reality part of this film?
There was a bunch. There was a lot in the very, very early stages of writing of what's going on with the children, and it was scary. It's so bad that it's not even the movie, It's downright the kingdom of horror, and but I learned a bunch of things. There are organisms. There NGOs, non-government organizations, international, trying to help them out, and they know their stories firsthand. But it's hard because children and they don't want to talk about it, and the organizations don't want the children talking about it because there's retaliation. It's very delicate. On the other hand, the entire situation of cities becoming ghost towns, or huge part of cities becoming ghost towns because the area is too dangerous and people move away, or because people disappeared or people died and they become ghost towns. I did research a lot of that, especially with the visuals, and finally how the organized crime operates in Mexico, where drug cartels, human trafficking, and politics are one and the same, was, a big part of the research. It was also heartbreaking. And then at some point, as you should, I believe, with any work of fiction, you feed on enough information, and then it gets to a point where it's in the way, because you're trying to put little facts here and there to enlighten people, and you realize that you're telling a story, and it's going to be there. But it's not a documentary, and you have to turn your back around and then go with your story and create your own version of it, So in the earlier stages, I did a lot.
Yeah. So just as a heads up, we're at about the 30-minute mark. I don't know if you have time for a couple more questions or if you'd like to wrap up.
No, yeah, let's do it. I always say, and I actually don't have the time, but the questions are so good, and I just love so much to talk about this crazy journey. So, of course, let's do it.
Good. Then let's keep talking. Lisa, I know you had a question that you wanted to ask.
I understand that while you were in the writing process, you kept a board of visual references that really informed the visual look of the piece. I'm just curious, like, what was on that board?
Oh my God, thousands and thousands and thousands of images. Actually, if you're curious enough, they're public. In the sense, it's not public that they're in a book or anything, but I never made the boards private because you can create private boards. I used an app called Pinterest, and I always make the joke that Pinterest is, if you open Pinterest, if you're not in Pinterest and you open Pinterest, the first thing you're going to find is a gazillion photographs of wedding cakes and hair treatments and cookie recipes and diets, which I think it's a very odd combination to have so many cookie recipes and diets in the same day, and exercise and add exercise, but okay, whatever. So, and that's off-putting sometimes, you know. But the thing is, on the other hand, you make it your own, and you create boards of whatever you want, and you find, you know, through your searches of the internet or because of whatever you run through all these images that enrich the vision that you have. So for instance, for the ghost town, and because at the beginning of the movie, as you may have noticed, the world is a lot more worldly. Let's call it that. It's more normal. Any city in Mexico. I mean, the movie does not take place in Juarez. It takes place in any Mexican city. It was, you know, in the first draft, it was going to be Juarez, but as time went by, while we were trying to get the project greenlit, the situation worsened and worsened to the point that every city in Mexico was in that situation. So we decided to make it any city. And so the movie starts in a normal Mexican city, normal, violent, yes. People are starting to leave. You see people in moving trucks. You see closed up and boarded houses and boarded windows. But then the kids escape, and the more they move, the more they get into this absolutely abandoned ghost town, and that is more and more magical in the sense that nature is reclaiming it, and there's trees and there's grass growing inside buildings, and forgotten strange elements of a life that was left behind, and eventually savage animals, as you know. So the reference for that, I was going through a lot of images of abandoned cities, abandoned malls, abandoned Olympic villages, of Chernobyl, of, you know, they're in China, for example, they build a lot and they never use it. And it becomes this very ghostly, very, very creepy and haunting places. And I made endless boards of that to create the mood that I was looking for. And it was a combination of, you know, there's a scene in Dr. Zhivago where in the third act where they go back to a palace and it's abandoned after the war, and winter has come inside. And now everything is covered in ice. It is one of the most gorgeous images I saw when I was a kid. And I wanted that. We don't have snow, but we have, you know, a fish tank that exploded and flooded a room, and now we have koi fish going, you know, basically in the floor of the room. And that idea of nature coming back and reclaiming and making it something out of a science fiction book in a way was always in my mind. And so I created all these boards. I created boards of how the ghosts were going to look in my movie. And I ended up with the idea of the back bodies that's decomposing and wrapped in plastic, because that's what a dead person, that was taken by her, often looks like in Mexico. But at some point I was considering, what if there are these creatures that now have animal heads? What if I was just going through opening doors? For me, the beauty of the time before shooting a movie and committing with one idea is to contemplate all the myriad ways you can take to create poetry, to create visual poetry.
I understand that this script came at a time where you had a couple of projects in Hollywood fall apart, and you were working on this script while trying to work on other stuff. And I just think that there is something so beautiful that, at this time where you're struggling as an artist, you come up with this absolutely stunning and beautiful and personal script. And I just wonder, I don't know, has this been a spiritual journey for you, or does it just feel like serendipity, how this has all come together?
It's absolutely a spiritual journey. I have been chasing, honestly, someone else's dreams for a really long time, and of course you make them into your dreams, but those are not your dreams. You don't own them, and they may fall apart because they don't belong to you. And I was pushing for many years, trying to get these movies made, and nothing was happening. And at some point I realized that A, my career had disappeared. I hadn't shot a movie in 5 years. And B, my voice was disappearing too. Because I was trying to make these movies in a way that still sounded and felt like me, but that would please someone else's vision. And that not, a lot of people are really good at doing that. I'm not. I am not. And when I did it, I had this very serious moment of I need to hear my voice again. I don't remember how it sounded like. So I'm going to stop. I need to do this because this is my job, and this will pay, and this might happen. It didn't, by the way. It didn't. But it did pay. Thank God, because I had a rent back then to pay. But it is not about paying the rent for us. So what I did is I started waking up 1 hour earlier in the morning, and I started writing this story that was actually totally and absolutely my voice. And I started hearing it again. And it felt so good to just, sing again, that I let it go wherever it wanted. So this script is pretty much its own creature. It was an expression of a person that hadn't been able to express herself in a really long time and was very sad and dying at that point.
Mm-hmm. So did showing Tigers Are Not Afraid, did that feel like a coming out of sorts?
Absolutely. It is for me the ultimate coming out, It is a coming out of my magical side. It is a coming out of my political stance. It is a coming out of my aesthetical way to look at the world. It is an absolute and total coming out. It is, and this is me, and this is how the world looks through my eyes.
I don't really have a question, but I just really want to say in this moment that I think that everything that you're saying is, like, this is very moving to me in a way, like we're all trying to find our own voice. And I think that these things that you're saying, you joked at the beginning of the conversation that they sort of felt corny, but they're not. This is true stuff. This is very real, and I'm very moved by what you're saying. I don't have a question.
Thank you.
I just have a statement.
Thank you. It is gorgeous to hear it, because I do know that when we're incredibly honest and we don't give a shit about, it's going to sound corny, but here it comes, and we talk about something, it sounds terrible, but I don't give a shit, of talking from your heart. And that connecting with other people, because they resonate with that note that your heart is singing. Jesus, this is really corny. But
no, but it's right. It's not.
But it happens, And the amazing thing is, what I'm amazed is at the sheer numbers of people who resonate to that note that my heart was singing at that point. And it's huge. And they really deeply, powerfully resonate. It's not like they like the movie. They love it. They're moved. They remember it. They talk about it months and months after. It stays with them because it really spoke to a part of them. People I don't know, people that live in cities I've never been to, that live in realities I have never experienced, they still connected with this. And that is beautiful. And that is worth the horror of the All Is Lost, I'm telling you.
And not only are you affecting yourself and your audience, but you're also connecting with the people that inspired you. Guillermo del Toro has spoken extremely fondly about Tigers Are Not Afraid, and that's got to be an absolute surreal experience.
It is absolutely surreal. That happened with Guillermo, certainly, because Guillermo has become a champion of the movie and a good friend and a constant inspiration. And the other one was Stephen King, who also fed all this, storylines in the movie that feel a little bit like The Goonies, feel a little bit like It, feel a little bit like Stand By Me. And I grew up reading Stephen King and then watching Guillermo's movies and then reading Neil Gaiman's comics. And the fact that the three of them, thank God for social media, we hate it, right? We talk so much shit about it, but in my case, I have to say it allowed me to get to my three biggest inspirations in the world, and they responded to what I was doing with their inspiration, And it's such a joy to say, hey, listen, I heard you. I heard what you had to say. And you. And what you said, after many, many years, made me say this. Do you like it? Do you hear it? And they heard it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's incredible. It is. I keep pinching myself.
Yeah. So I have really, I think, one last question for you, and I like to preface it like this. I think this conversation affirms that, but it's really hard to make a movie, and it's really, really hard to make a movie that shows who you are to the world. Just to even make the decision to do it, to go out and do it, it's one of the hardest things that you can do. So in that light, I like to ask everybody at the end of our conversations, when you're having a really shit day and you're really down, what's the one moment that you look back on in your career that you say to yourself, this is the thing that really makes it worth it, and this is the thing that's going to get me through this moment?
It is that when that happens, you have to be very quiet and sit down and try to listen again to that voice inside of you that knows what you have to say. Because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you are, you have something to say that is absolutely unique to you and that no one has said before, because only you know this. And you have to listen to that voice and let it speak and let it sing. And sit your ass down and put aside the rest and make it happen. It doesn't matter if it's by writing a script 1,000 times. One scene, one moment, one image that captures that voice will let the rest of the movie happen. It doesn't matter if you're a musician and it is a song. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to sit down find that voice. Quiet down the rest, find that voice, and then let it speak. Because if that happens, once it starts speaking, you won't be able to shut it up. And you shouldn't try. Just enjoy it. Just let it. And if what you're creating comes from that, you will be listened. Out there's people that will resonate with what you have to say. There's kindred souls out there. And you've never found them, but you will if you let that voice come out.
I think that is a beautiful way to close out the conversation. Issa, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I don't know if you can tell from our questions, but all three of us were, as you say, not in the crowd that responded to it so. We loved it with all of our hearts. And, we saw it at a film festival where it's a lost weekend film festival. And, you watch 25 movies in 4 days. And several months out from that now, I still think about this movie on a regular basis. It has stuck with me, and it was very moving. And I really just can't wait for more people to see it and to experience it.
Thank you so much, because the only thing that says is that movie, that song was for you. And you listened to it. Thank you. So I will keep, singing. This is a very funny metaphor because I'm a terrible singer. I suck at singing. But I do sing in different ways. Yeah. No. It was for you. If it made your inner whatever it is flame tremble, it is because it was for you. It was meant for you. So thank you for finding it. Thank you.
Do you have anything that you'd like to push anybody to? Anything that you'd like?
No, I'm so happy. The questions were amazing, and they let me.
Great.
They let me talk about all the things that I'm passionate about when I talk about this movie. So thank you. Just thank you.
Well, thank you, and have a beautiful day, and have a safe trip.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right. Bye.
And we're back in the Dork Cave.
Wasn't that amazing?
It was.
I'm looking for her Pinterest as we outro.
That's what you should be doing. I don't have Pinterest though. So.
I was imagining her with like a board and some Mod Podge. I thought she was going to Michael's for this shit, but no she's on Pinterest. That's where all of the ideas are happening.
It's the 21st century.
Yeah, it is.
I'm verklempt.
Yeah.
It was an amazing conversation. I absolutely adored it. It was only supposed to be 30 minutes. And then she just started praising us. And once you start praising the dorks, we're not going to shut up.
No, never. Never going to happen. But we're best friends now.
Yeah.
And, we all love each other.
So, I don't know. I'm thrilled by this conversation. I hope you listeners enjoyed it half as much as we did.
But if you enjoyed it more than half, that's also good.
I think it's a rarity for people to be so candid in these conversations, and that's something that I think that because of a lot of the people that we bring for the CHATcast, we get a chance to get people who are more willing to be less on message and more about who they are in this. And like that, to me, just listening to her talk about who she is was like it's
profound privilege.
Yeah.
And she keeps talking about not wanting to sound corny, but we don't need cynicism in this world anymore. We need to shed that idea. And she's so incredibly earnest, and she has put 100% of herself into this movie. And it shows.
It does.
In the film and in this conversation.
Absolutely.
If I had to picture what a conversation with Issa Lopez would have been like having watched that movie, it's so weird that a movie that has all like violence and children and death and awfulness in it in that way, but this is exactly the person that I would picture having made that, to be honest.
Really? That's beautiful. Well, I like the fact that she found herself pointing to other people. She saw the plight of these orphans who are just being forgotten, and she wanted to tell their story, and in doing that she ended up telling her story. And then all of these people are going to watch this film and they find themselves in that film. And like, the fact of the matter is, people aren't curious about other people. You know, like, we don't go like, oh, I wonder what the kids, you know, in Juarez are doing right now. But when we watch a movie and we go, oh my goodness, that kid is like my kid, or that kid is like me as a child. Or
well, that's the whole Ebert thing, right? You know,
right.
Movies are machines of empathy.
Positively.
And we here at this table found ourselves in Tigers Are Not Afraid, and that's tremendous. So yeah, listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation, please reach out to us. Let us know. If you've seen the film yourself, I'd like to hear your opinion on the movie. So hit us up on Twitter at ITMODcast. Hit us up at ITMODcast on Facebook. Maybe one day we'll get that Instagram running again. But until then, Billy, where can we find you?
At WBDAS on Twitter. I'm also on Insta. Well, I have an account.
Yeah, you don't have a single photo associated with your account.
Ha! Victory. No,
Lisa,
right.
where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. But I don't post on Letterboxd anymore. Oh, we're all failing at some degree or another.
And you can find the Disco Dork at the Disco Dork on all social medias, and you can find the Turtle Dork at the Turtle Dork 1. I still haven't figured out all his different handles. Just find Brian Young on the internet. I'm sure there's only one of them.
The real Brian Young.
The real Brian Young. And of course, I am at Mouth Dork on all social medias. And once again, seek out Tigers Are Not Afraid. You will not be disappointed.
But you will cry.
But you will cry.
You'll be disappointed in humanity.
Yes.
And good
Bye.